Referees are ruining football and it needs to stop. What can be done about it and what is ruining the game? The Premier League for many seasons has been dealing with VAR, the PGMOL, and inconsistency in the reffing sphere, and it is absolutely ruining the game. It is ruining the fan experience. It is causing way too much controversy, and we are hearing way too much about it on talk radio, on punditry, and in everything surrounding the game. There should be no talk of referees going forward, but what is the actual issue? One of the key issues is the inconsistency that we get in the referee from game to game. From week to week, we'll see a red card given one week and no red card given the next week. We'll see a yellow given one week and no yellow given the next week. This season, we've seen issues with kicking the ball away before a free kick. Declan Rice got a second yellow for a red card. He got kicked out of the game. Trossard got a yellow card for it and got kicked out of the game with another yellow after that. But we've seen players like Bernardo Silva dribble the ball away and not get a card. We've seen players kick players and not get cards. We've seen players just remove the ball completely and not get cards. So what is the actual problem? We also see mass favoritism. We look at Michael Oliver. How he can ever be allowed to referee Man City games blows my mind. Last season, Kovacic, in a big game, had 2 red card offenses not given as a red card and played the game, and it kept the game integrity, which is great. This year, Trossard is given a very weak yellow card as his second yellow card and is kicked out of the game, ruining the game. His reasoning last season was, well, it was a big match, I didn't want to ruin it. How is the Man City versus Arsenal match not a big match, and he absolutely ruined it? Yes, the game ended in a draw, which is probably the best result Arsenal could have hoped for, but Arsenal win that game if Trossard is not sent off. Also, the added on time has been ridiculous from the officiating. It was 6 minutes of added on time in the first half. Trossard gets sent off at the 7th minute. Why are they even in the 7th minute? The equalizing goal comes, again, after the allotted amount of time in the second half. Again, just ruining the game integrity. Last season, we saw multiple reffing controversies surrounding Man City, surrounding Arsenal, and then Man City ended up winning the Premier League. There is now an integrity issue because of the refereeing in this league, and it is continually affecting the league and affecting its reputation around the world. We sent Michael Oliver out to international competitions like the Euros, and he embarrasses us there. So we need to figure this out. And VAR is an absolute shambles. The PGMOL is an absolute shambles. They need to be 2 separate entities. As Mark Goldberg says in many of his videos, it's a mates race. It's their friends, their friends, their friends. Oh, let's just help out our mates. Let's make sure it's all going well. And it just ruins the game. All the VAR decisions have been awful. It is absolutely taking away from what is happening. We need to have quicker decisions, firmer decisions, and we need to have consistency. Because right now, teams are playing against 3 different opponents. They're playing against the PGMOL, they're playing against the refs, and they're playing against the teams on the pitch. That is a big issue. We need to get this game back to focusing on team versus team, because if we continually focus on the referees, it is going to remove from this game. And it must be a power trip of some sorts by the referees, because they are putting their nose into games where it does not need to be. It's almost like they are wanting to be talked about because they're absolutely ruining these games. They're wanting to leave their mark on the game. Whereas the best way for a referee to referee games is to completely remove himself from the game and be unnoticeable, to manage the game. They're not there to stop the game. They're not there to ruin the games. They're not there to make the games better. They're there to literally manage the game and let the players play. And what we've been seeing for multiple years is they continually mess up major decisions. And because of that, we are ruining the sport that we all know and love. If you look at lower leagues where there is no VR, there is no PGMOL, there is just a referee and the teams, and the referee needs to make the decision. Whether he gets the decision right or wrong, it's actually better for the game because the decision is made and it's final. There's no controversy. It's not talked about. It might be talked about for a week, but it's not going to be brought up for years and years and months. What we're seeing now is we're seeing referee decisions are being talked about for multiple months past after that decision has been made, because these decisions are affecting how the league is shaping up. We see multiple times Man City players, and I hate to be hard by Man City, but Man City players who run up to the referee with their arms flailing about, looking like absolute morons. And if they were actually refereeing these games correctly, every single one of the players would get a card for dissent. But they're not getting cards, and the referees are allowing it to happen. We see players like Erling Haaland in the game against Arsenal throw a ball directly at a player. Again, that shouldn't have been a card. It wasn't given. So was the favoritism being shown towards specific teams than others? And we can see last season, Wolves were absolutely decimated by refereeing decisions. And yes, they finished mid-table, but without those decisions, they could have been challenging for a European spot, because last season, we saw at the end of the season, all the way down to 8th place got into Europe from the Premier League. Wolves were left out of that. If decisions went their way, they could be in Europe. That's extra funding for that team. That's extra players coming into the team because they're playing in Europe. That's extra games for these players to get more notice. There's extra ability for Wolves to get noticed on a more international stage and grow their club. And now that was absolutely removed by them because of these refereeing decisions. So if it's affecting lower level teams, it's affecting higher level teams, and it's also affecting, when you look at it last season, there was a controversy with the referee who was a fan of a team, and he was refereeing the game. That then there was a decision within that game. I believe it was like a Luton was complaining about it, and then he was refereeing the Everton game. He made a decision in that game that favored Everton and affected Luton, and that could have, again, Luton went down, and Luton were really challenging to stay up last season. Did that decision make them go down? And again, all it does is it wrecks the integrity of our game. It continually is affecting it. And ultimately, it's going to be a very, very, very bad look. If you compare it to other leagues, if you look at the NFL, there are refereeing controversies, but they are squashed instantaneously. For instance, the pass interference rule in the NFL is a very contentious one. What is pass interference? What constitutes a catch? What is all this? But they made clear rules, and the games are reffed consistently. Maybe not perfectly consistently, but consistently on an overall basis. But if you look at the Premier League, which is, again, it's a different sport, but there are clear rules with, like, such as the handball. If it touches the hand, it's a handball. But for many years, we've not known what a handball is because there's a different rule for the Premier League, there's a different rule for the Champions League, there's a different rule for La Liga, there's a different rule for Liga 1, and all around that. So there's so much difference within this. There's no actual clear set of rules of what is the handball. There's no clear set of rules of what is reasonable contact within the box and then leading to a penalty. And even within the Premier League, there's different interpretations from game to game to game. The FA really need to step in here. They need to make firm rules because all it is doing is wrecking the fan experience. It's creating controversy. It's ruining the atmosphere of the sport that we all know and love. It was the beautiful game before. It's no longer beautiful now. It is being absolutely ruined by referees. And the only way it can be solved is if the FA come in, make clear rules, and set guidelines, and do not allow these referees to power trip. They need to have set guidelines of, if you are a fan of a team and you cannot referee these teams, you cannot referee the team you're a fan of, you cannot referee rivals, you can only referee neutral teams to you. So if you're a Spurs fan, you can't referee a Spurs game, you can't referee an Arsenal game. You can referee maybe a Man United and Man City game, that's fine, but you cannot be refereeing games that you're associated with. We need to maintain the integrity. Michael Oliver should never be allowed to referee Man City again, because every single decision he makes, whether he is being paid off by them or not, or whether he's a massive favorite of them or not, they always seem to favor City. So the narrative now is, have Michael Oliver ref your game, Man City's going to win that game. We need to bring the integrity back to the sport. There needs to be clear guidance. BGMO needs to be disbanded. VAR needs to be either left in the mud or completely left for this season, rebuilt, and implemented again next season. Because whatever is happening right now, it is not working for the sport. I really want to hear what you guys have to say in the comments about refereeing as a whole. I want to understand. I want to have a little discussion about it in the comments. What can we do to fix this? Because right now, there is way too much inconsistency. We are focusing way too much on refereeing, and as a result, our sport is being diminished. At the root of every single sport, it is the fans. We need to do something. We need to stop all these horrible refereeing decisions. Otherwise, we will lose the sport we know and love. But like always, have a good one. Let me know what you think in the comments. See you later.